All right, everybody, we are on lesson 13-7, division with money. This should be a fun new challenge. It really is not much different than dividing with decimals because money is written as a decimal. So there are only a few little things that you're going to need to do differently from the previous lesson where we were just dividing with decimals. All right, the first thing is when you are dividing with money, the most first and foremost thing that you are going to do is you are going to make sure that you move your dollar sign and your decimal up very, very first thing. All right, after you have first moved your dollar sign and decimal up, you are going to divide as you would a normal decimal or as you would normal whole numbers. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, does 5 go into 1? It does not. We are not going to put our X up here or our 0 like we typically do in our division because we do not have X's in our dollar amounts and nor do we have zeros in our dollar amounts in spots before we get to our actual dollar. So we are going to kind of resist what we have done and putting that X or that 0 as a placeholder there. And we're just going to go on to 5 goes into 12. How many times? 5 is going to go into 12 twice, right? So we're going to make sure to put that 2 above the 12, right? So it's going to go here. It's not going to go here. That would be if 5 went into 1, it would go here. But it's going into 12, so you're going to put it right above the 12. Okay, so 5 goes into 12 2 times. Same as long division. We're going to, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? Divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. So we divided, now we multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract 2. Check it. Is 2 less than 5? Has to be less than the divisor, right? It can't even be the same. Has to be less than the divisor. So 2 is less than 5. That means we did it the exact right way. If it were more than 5 or 5, we would know that it would go in a whole extra time. We'd have to go back up and change this 2 to a 3. But 2 is less than 5. That means we did it correctly. So now we're going to bring down this 8. And we have 28. 5 goes into 28 5 times. So we're going to put that 5 right up above the 8, which is after the decimal point, you can see. So 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract, we get 3. Oopsie, I just changed my pen. 3. 3 is less than 5. Great, we did it right. Now we're going to bring this last digit down. We have 35. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. We're going to subtract and get 0. Perfect. This one worked out exactly right. We can take $12.85 divided up amongst 5 people. Everybody gets exactly $2.57. That is about as easy as the problems are going to get with math because it just happened to come out evenly. We are going to talk now with these other problems about what to do when you have a remainder. Let's talk about something first. When we have money, our quotient or our answer is always going to have a dollar sign. It's always going to have a dollar amount. Even if the dollar amount is 0, we have to have a dollar amount. We have to have a decimal, and we also have to have 2 spots after the decimal, meaning it has to go out to the 100th spot. And why do you think we have to go out to the 100th spot? And we do not want anything past the 100th spot. Why do we think that money is written this way? Why not go out to the 1000th spot if we need to? Or why not stop at the 10th spot if we don't need the 100th spot? Well, money is always written in dollars and cents. We need to have a dollar amount, even if it's 0, and we need to have both of these spots because, and we cannot have this spot because our smallest unit of currency is a penny. a penny is 100th of a dollar. So we don't have anything for this spot right here. We don't have anything. We can't go smaller. There's nothing that is worth 1,000th of a dollar. So we are always going to have to stay within the 100th spot. We need to know how many dollars and how much cents. Cents is written all the way out to the 100th spot. Even if this happens to be a 0, we need to put a 0 there. All right? So now we're going to find out what happens when there is a remainder. Okay, let's erase this here. Let's get rid of all these. And let's go on to our next problem. Okay, we have $8.54. We want to divide that amongst 5 people. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing you always know is $sign and decimal point, and messy math makes mistakes, right? So we're going to keep everything as neat as possible. 5 goes into 8 one time. Subtract, we get 3. 3 is less than 5, so we're doing it right. Bring our 5 down. Now we have 35. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. We have 0 left. 0 is less than 5. Let's bring our 4 down. Now we have 5 goes into 4. How many times? You may get stuck here and say, but it doesn't. You're right. It goes in 0 times. When you bring down something, this is not your remainder. If you have brought something down, that means you have to go through all the next 5 steps, even if it's a 0. So when you bring something down, you're just telling yourself, I'm still going to do the next 5 steps, even if it's a 0. So we brought down a 4. 5 goes into 4 0 times. 0 times 5 is 0. If we subtract, we still get that 4. 4 is less than 5. But now it's a remainder, we know, because there is nothing left here to bring down. You can't stop doing those 5 steps until there's nothing left to bring down. Because there's nothing left to bring down, we have $1.70, but we've got this 4 here. We've got 4 remaining. All right? What are we going to do to that? It really depends on a few things. First of all, if we have this and we want to know an estimate, then we need to go one step further. That means just how you did when you were dividing decimals. You don't want to leave that remainder. So you are going to add a 0 here. You are going to bring that down. Remember, that 0 didn't add any amount, any value amount. It's just helping us get to the accurate 100th spot. So if we're going to go out to the 1,000th spot, we now have 5 into 40, which is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. We subtract. Now we get 0. We don't have anything remaining. Okay, there we go. But you say, Mrs. Van Zanten, you said we only go to the 100th spot, and this goes to the 1,000th spot. And you are correct. So if we are estimating, or if we want the closest amount, then we need to go out to the 1,000th spot. And this 1,000th spot will tell us what to do with the 100th spot. All right? We are going to round our money to the nearest penny. If we're rounding our money to the nearest penny, we have to go out to this 1,000th spot to know what to round the 100th spot to. So we look and we have an 8 in the 1,000th spot. What does that tell us to do to the 0 that is in the 100th spot? Remember, 4 or less, leave that mess. 8 or more, raise the score. I'm sorry, 5 or more, raise the score. I'm looking at that 8 right there. So since we have an 8, it tells us that this 100th spot is going to be raised 1 because it is closer to 71 cents than it is to 70 cents. Okay, so we are actually going to do that. We are going to erase our 1,000th spot. We don't actually want that in our money, but we do want to change our 100th spot now to 71 cents. All right, it is closer to $1.71. Okay, so remember, you always need to go, if there is a remainder when you get to the 100th spot, you have to go out to this next 1000th spot and round to the nearest penny. Okay, you can't round to the nearest penny unless you know what's in this spot behind it, what's in the 1000th spot. For less, you're going to leave it as the dollar amount that it is and the cents amount that it is. But if there is a 5 or more, you're going to bump that up to the next penny. All right, we're going to round it up. Okay, let's move on. So that is the extra thing for that problem. But let's go on over here to $5 divided by 9. First thing is, what are we going to do first? Yes. We are going to put our dollar sign and decimal point in. 9 goes into 5 how many times? 0. We have to put that 0 in there because we have to have something in the dollar amount. You can't just leave it blank. So you're going to have a 0. 9 goes into 50 4 times. 4 times 9 is 45. Subtract and we get 5. Okay, 5 is less than 9, so let's bring down the next one. We have a 50 again. 9 goes into 50. Oh my goodness, let's back up a second here. Let's back up. I just did that wrong. I did some bad math. Okay, let's start this one all over. Okay. $5 divided by 9. First thing we're going to do is, of course, bring up our dollar sign, put our decimal point up, and get started. 9 goes into 5, 0 times. We have to put this 0 in here because we need something in the dollar place. We have to have something in there even if it's a 0. 9 goes into 50. How many times? 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. Subtract, we get 5. 5 is less than 9, so we did it right. And we bring down the 0. And we have 50 again. 9 goes into 50, like we said, 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45. We subtract it, and we get a 5. We know that we have to, if we have a remainder, and we have to go out to the 1000th spot. So we add another 0, and we get another 50. I think you see a pattern going here. 9 goes into 50 5 times. 5 times 9 is 45, with a remainder of 5. What is happening here is what is called a repeating decimal. We could do this from now until eternity, and we would just keep adding 5s and 50s and 45s and on and on and on. It repeats and repeats and never ends. So even with a normal decimal, not a dollar, with money, even with normal decimals, with repeating decimals as a quotient, eventually you're just going to have to stop and round it off to whatever spot that you are needing it to be rounded off to. Since this is money, we can stop now because we have our thousandths place right here. That number is going to tell us what to do with the penny. Do we leave it as 55 cents or are we going to bump it up to 56 cents? Since it's a 5 or more, we're going to raise the score. So we're going to change this 100th spot to 6. All right, we'll get rid of that. We just used that to judge what we needed. So our answer is going to be 56 cents. Okay, hopefully you are seeing with these, the only thing that's really different is putting the dollar sign and the decimal up, very first thing, and doing your division all the way out to the thousandth spot so that you can determine that penny amount, whether it stays or whether it raises up. That's really the only thing different.